Okay, this is my explanation for my routine. Time flies. Sometimes I call this, what time is it? I think time flies is more catchy, but this is not so much a trick as 5 separate tricks really. The whole routine involves many concepts of magic, and it sort of flies together really nicely. It has a prediction, it has a mind reading bit, it has a transformation where an object moves from one place to another. It has, what else does it have? It has another spectator guessing something that you've thought of magically. It's got so much in it magically, and you'll see that from the performance. But here's the explanation. Now it does use one of the oldest things I learned about when I was probably about 10 or 11 years old when I started, and that is the old clock force. In the old days, I remember the clock trick. There was a big clock face, and I used to love it as a kid. I think I remember it being one of the first tricks I did, the clock trick, which made me really feel like a magician. This uses that force but in a different way. So we're using the clock force, and here's how that works. You say to the spectator, I want you to think of any time from 1 to 12. It can't be 20 past 22, it's got to be on the hour. Now in mentalism, it's often best to personalise stuff, so sometimes I say, it could be the hour nearest to say a birth of a child, the hour nearest your wedding, the hour nearest something special in your life, it could be the hour of the day that you like most. You know, you might be a morning person or an evening person. So you try and personalise it a bit, makes it a bit more effective. And then you say to them, when you've got your hour in your head, what I'd like you to do is, I'm going to take 12 cards. Now they can shuffle the cards first, okay? So they're not in any order, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, all you need to know is this card. Now, you could be obvious, you could have it this way. You could do this and just sort of casually pull that card out and peek the card there, because you're talking away anyway, and you're just casually looking at the card. That's not what I do. Every time what I do this peek. It's very simple. I simply lift the corner there and look. I don't even know the name of the peek, but that's it. I lift the corner and look. And I'm just doing that casually as I'm talking. That's 3 of hearts. I know that's a 3 of hearts. Now that's my key card. My key card. When you start out, beginners of magic know about the key card concept, because it's usually one of the first couple of tricks they learn in magic is to do with key cards. Well, guess what, folks? This is a professional routine, and you're using a key card, and it's that. It is the 3 of hearts. I'll explain. You say to your spectator, whatever hour you're thinking of, take that many cards away and hide them in a pocket, sit on them, or whatever. Let's say, for example, they think of 5 o'clock. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards and put them away where you can't see them. Now your back is turned at this stage, and you say, whatever card you've got left, just put them back on top of the deck, which they do. Yeah? And you say, have you done that? And you turn around. Now, you could go straight into this routine here, but I always do a false cut or shuffle. I just cut over there, and then keep a break. Yeah? And then I do 1, cut to the break, and then put them on top. It's just a very simple false cut. I mean, there's all sorts of other false. That was another one, but I'm not going to teach you that one. That one's easier. Okay, break. I could do a double undercut there, or break and 2 cuts to the break. Point is, I'm keeping the top stock intact. So it looks like they're more random now. I say, you're thinking of your time? They say yes. I say, well, I'll tell you what. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'll take 12 cards. Now you're casually sort of looking through here, because you're looking for that 3 of hearts. Because that 3 of hearts is the 5th card in from the bottom, I know so much information now. I know they're thinking of 5 o'clock. I know they've got 5 cards in the pocket, and I know in a second they will be thinking of my key card anyway, which is the 3 of hearts. Because what I do is I casually do this and say, I'll tell you what, and then I sort of pause for a second, and I say, I'll tell you what, let's make this a bit more interesting. Before I ask you to think of a card, now this is why it's best often in this trick to have two spectators. I say, I tell you what, the other spectator, could you, if I take my watch stem out, yeah, you can clearly see. Can you see that moving? Yes, they can. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just turning my watch there. But what I'm really doing is, as I turn away back, I'll get the camera there, I'm actually getting it to just a minute before 5. There. Just before 5. Because I know already that they're thinking of 5 o'clock. Now, many of these watches have the luxury of 2 clips. If I go in, if I press all the way in, that's fine. But if I just go slightly, it's still slightly out. This is what's great about this. A lot of these watches are like this. If I carry on turning, guess what? Nothing happens. It stays on the 5. Actually, what is happening, the date is changing right in there, but I don't care about that. And what I do, it could be to the original spectator, but sometimes it's best to have another spectator. And I say, I tell you what, could you carry on? And they carry on. I say, just carry on as long as you want, and when you feel the inclination to stop, they could do that for all night. It doesn't matter, nothing's happening. But in their heads, those hands are still twisting. Okay, they're fine. Yes, I'm fine with that. And I say, now press it all the way in so you can't wind it anymore. And the beauty about these watches is it does click in one more. And they have the illusion that they've been turning that, but it's really stuck on that 5 o'clock. So, you take the watch back off them. Thank you very much. We'll put that face down here. So many things going on here. I say to my first spectator, I'm going to show you all these 12 cards. And I want you to think of the card that corresponds to the time you're thinking of. Now, it's going to be 5 o'clock and it's going to be the 3 of hearts. But you know that. Here's where some sleight of hand comes in. I just go through them. I go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Now on 5 o'clock, there's 5. On 6, I take this down, but the 3 goes to the bottom and stays there. There. I think that's called a biddle steel, isn't it? So that's 5, biddle steel to the bottom as the 9 goes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now that's a double, 12, because their card is there. And what I tend to do here, for the ease of execution that's coming up in a second, that just goes there, which puts their card on top. One more time. Their card is 5th down. 5th down. I say, think of your card. They're going to think of the 3. I go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, biddle steel to the bottom, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and there's 12 o'clock, and that just goes to the bottom there. And I say to them, are you thinking of a card? They say yes. I say, are you thinking of a time? They say yes. Now, as they're doing this, I'm going to get myself in position. I'm going to top palm this card, which is their card. And that's simply a matter of pushing that up there. There's different ways of top palming. You can just sort of slide it over. It's not my intention to teach top palm if you're doing this sort of trick. It's just, you take that there, okay? So you top palm. Now this is the move. Are you ready? Depending on, say the spectators here, I say to them, I want you to do me a favour. I want you to take these cards. Now this is the misdirection. I want you to take these cards. As they're taking these cards, this hand, with their card, is going to the table and dropping it and puts the watch on top of the card. Now my attention's here. If my attention's here, the audience attention's here, they don't see it. It's card under glass, folks. But the point is, I palm the card, you take these cards, and in that I've got so much time to get this watch on top of that card. I say, I want you to count the cards, and I want you to say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. They usually say, do it face up or face down. I say, well, it doesn't matter, but do them face up. In that way, they do not see their card. Now, remember, they're looking for their card, and they go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And I say, oh, there's an hour missing. And they go, yeah. And I say, well, time flies. at 5 o'clock. There's a trick in itself. You've guessed the time. Time flies at 5 o'clock and they go, oh! And I say, is your card there? And they look and they say, no, the card's not there. And there's only 11. It seems to have disappeared from their hand. And then it's up to you how you play this. I often do something like this. I say, yeah, time does fly at 5 o'clock, doesn't it? And I'm looking at a watch now. Then they see, it's the card under the glass for the more experienced magicians who know versions of that trick. It's that moment, isn't it, where they say, oh, and they look over and they see a card. Now it's under the watch. They see this card under the watch. Move the card, they turn it over, they see it's theirs. Very strong. And then, honestly, when you say to them, isn't that amazing? And you say, well, look at the watch now. And when they turn the watch over, it's at 5 o'clock. The one time they were thinking of. There's so much in this trick, as I said at the beginning. You know, you've card on the glass, transposition, mind reading. It's got a bit of everything. The watch idea, I don't think it's even his idea. I used to do that trick by Richard Osterland with the, I still do it actually, it's a great trick with the business card peak. And this technique with the watch, that's where I got that idea from. It's just using that idea with a lot of other ideas. Clock Force, it's got a lot going on, and it's also a mixture of magic and mentalism, isn't it? I suppose it's not just it's got the sleight of hand as well as the mind reading. So I'm very happy with this trick, and I hope you are happy using it and amazing people. Thank you.